Mother, was it always custom in Father's house to secretly give nectar to those you care about? I guess it also could have been a thing on Olympus. Look, I wanted you to have this. I'm so glad I found you.
Oh, Zagreus, you're so thoughtful, truly. Your father never permitted nectar out in the open, so I'd practically forgotten its savor. Though, just a moment. I have something for you, too.
Oh, Mother, thank you. How has it been for you so far, Mother, reacclimating to all this? You said before it was a struggle. Must be very strange being back, being in darkness all the time.
You know, I think it's gone all right so far. Thank you for asking, son. Everyone has been quite welcoming. The darkness is a pleasant change of pace. And while the stress can be a little difficult to move in, I quite like it.
That's good to hear. I have to admit I was a little worried you'd be desperate to return to your cottage by now. This place can be a little much.
I'm sure it can. And I do miss my little cottage here and there, but I think I'm through running away. There may be times when it is necessary, of course. But no matter how far you run, it doesn't make your problems go away. You taught me that, you know?
I did, but I tried desperately to run away myself. Oh.
Indeed. Were you able to make it to my cottage on the surface, Zagreus? I hope my lavender patches are doing all right.
I couldn't make it all the way there, Mother. It's like, without your presence on the surface, I'm unable to hang on for very long at all.
Ah, I was afraid of that. Well, don't despair. I placed a charm upon my seedlings there that ought to keep them flourishing well on their own. Your duty now is simply to escape. You keep it up.
I will. Thank you, Mother. You know, that painting in your bedchambers, it turned out rather well, didn't it? Some very talented shades around here.
Oh, it's beautiful. I tried to persuade your father to hang it out in the hall, but he's too coy about such things. Though I like it where it is. A reminder to us, every day and night.
Still can't believe you let me hold his spear.
Persephone, my queen. It has been far too long. Although the passing of the time was very kind, it is an honor to see you again.
Oh, please, Nyx. No formalities between us, right? It's wonderful to see you too, my friend. The days there on the surface, they were very different, but the nights, I was reminded of our times together here.
Good times, I trust.
Good times, most certainly. I try not to remember the others.
We are pleased to have you back. Although it shall be a difficult adjustment for you once again, I fear. For all of us.
Well, having built a little house all by myself up there, I think I'm up for anything. You know what it's like.
I do.
Honored to have met you, great Achilles, our royal guard. Good to know whom to turn to should anything run afoul around here. So it was you who instructed my son in the martial ways.
Indeed, Your Grace. He was a talented student. If only you could have seen his progress, surely you would have been very proud.
I am proud. You know, you were already quite the name back on the surface when I lived upon Olympus. I should think your legend spread much farther still since then.
Oh, I doubt that. Although, thank you, Your Grace.
Oh, come on, Hades. Mortals are much more resilient than that. What, do you think they'll show up at your gates here all at once? They have our family looking out for them.
That is what I'm afraid of. Do you truly believe my brothers and the rest shall take the sort of care of them while they draw breath, as we do here after they have expired?
It's true we have to look out for them indefinitely, while Olympus need only look out for them for a little while. But our relatives are always watching from their mountain. And if they do turn a blind eye once in a while, mortals aren't bad at fending for themselves.
But they are never satisfied, always begging us to provide more and more.
They like us, Hades. They praise us, tell one another about us. What do you expect? Would you rather they forgot about us?
No. No, I suppose not. But they need us.
Well, we need them. Oh, Cerberus. Doubtless you deserve the biggest thanks that this house still stands, don't you? Did you enjoy the treat I brought you from the surface?
The surface treat devouring hound of hell provides the Queen a most decidedly affirmative response.
I thought you might. You wouldn't know it wasn't made of meat, I'll bet. I'll see if we can't grow you plenty more. So if there's anything that I can do for you, Nyx, you need but ask, all right? I plan to pull my weight.
Your services were always welcome here. Please acclimate yourself at your own rate. I am available to answer any questions you may have at any time.
Thank you, my friend. I have to tell you, it's good to be back.
Well, be that as it may. If they pester you at all, do let me know and I shall have them dealt with quickly.
Oh, Hades. I think the shades around here have been through enough as it is. I don't mind them. After all the time I spent on my own, having some company has been a welcome change.
You are certain all your needs have been provided for? Because if there's anything that you require...
Require? Look at this place, Hades. Look at me. I have everything. And so do you. Try not to worry quite so much. And be patient with your son. That's all I ask.
Persephone, I cannot promise you such things. They're not my strengths. Besides, I have a reputation to uphold. God of the dead. If the wretches do not fear me, or you for that matter, what then?
I'm not going to tell you how to balance your work, your marriage, and your parental responsibilities. I don't think anybody on Olympus or below knows quite how best to manage that. So long as we do our best.
Our best. That I can promise you.
It's my great pleasure to make your acquaintance. Call me Dusa, please. I'm your house custodian, and I am at your service. Anything you need, just call, okay?
Dusa, wonderful to know you. This house is immaculate. Night and day difference from before. Now I know exactly whom to compliment.
Thanks so much. I will not let you down.
Thank you in turn.
Mother, just how long has it been snowing on the surface, do you know? Because it seems to me that Demeter, grandmother I should say, well, it's been very cold up there each time I've been.
I was afraid of that. I wanted to believe the snow about my cottage. It was native to the climate there, but seems that Mother took my absence harder than I thought. Oh, what have I done? All those poor people.
It's not your fault. You couldn't have known. And we can fix this, right?
We can and shall. For me? Are you quite sure? You know, this vintage must have made it all the way up from the surface to the mountains, then to here. We've both had distant journeys, haven't we?
Well, I, for one, am certain this vintage here has journeyed to the right place. Please enjoy it.
Ah, but to think that our esteemed musician of the court is none other than you, Orpheus. In matters of music, at least, Hades and I have similar tastes. Anyway, I don't mean to keep you.
I shall be honored to perform my songs, Your Grace. And might I add, Your Grace bears many of the striking features of your son. I understand now where he gets his charm.
Oh, you're too kind.
Queen Persephone, all of us, we are most pleased you're back. If there is anything that I can do to ease your acclimation to this house, you need but ask.
Why, thank you, Thanatos. I'll take you up on that if I can think of anything anytime soon. But my, you've grown. I understand you've been looking after my son in the meantime.
Your son, he is very capable of looking after himself, it turns out. Although I try to be there just in case. Though I must beg your pardon, Queen. Someone awaits me on the surface now.
I know how mortals hate waiting around.
And what of the complaints from Elysium? They wanted the lawns thoroughly manicured for their athletic contests.
Already taken care of. Though the flooding in Asphodel, that doesn't look like something we can clear up for quite some time. Fortunately, the residents seem to be getting accustomed to it.
There have been fewer reports about it as of late. And what of the satyr problem? Blasted things are rampant up there still.
Well, they're probably contained up there, at least. And Zagreus has been keeping them in check, hasn't he?
It was my duty to prevent him from getting farther. If I succeeded, he never would have found you. So this once, I'm glad I failed. I hope you know that, my queen.
I hoped, but did not know for certain till I heard from you just now, Overseer Megara. And if I may, I understand you have achieved an awful lot since I took my, leave of absence from this house. I see why Nyx and Hades put their trust in you.
Thank you, my queen. Then if there's anything else that I can do to help you reacclimate yourself, I'm always at your service. You are most welcome here.
Likewise, you be sure to let me know if my son there happens to make more trouble for you than you welcome in your life. All right?
As you say.
I must confess, I do enjoy having a good bottle of nectar every now and then. And you appear to have a careful eye for such bottles, from what I can tell.
My careful eye has got to be the green one, hasn't it? To having a discerning eye, Mother.
Nyx has a very steady presence, doesn't she? I want to say she hasn't changed a bit since before you were born, but I know that she's been through a lot.
She's always managed, and quite gracefully at that. Never seen her break a sweat over anything, even when I confronted her about you. Though you two seem closer than I realized, I think.
Well, your father isn't always the conversationalist, and Nyx, she was the first chthonic god I ever met. I suppose she welcomed having another lady about the house.
I'm sure she did. She checked the garden.
Excellent work, my son. Thank you very much, my son. You know, gift-giving customs of the underworld are just so much more straightforward than the complicated social graces of Olympus.
If there are other ways of showing one's appreciation than with nectar and the like, well, they must pale in comparison, I'm sure.
This garden may not have all the varieties available up on the surface, though it's coming along rather nicely, I should say.
And it smells fresh, too.
Sometimes I still cannot believe that you are here, returned to us. Your radiance in all this darkness. You must miss seeing the coast.
The coast was nice enough, Hades. But nothing is ever perfect, right? No matter how hard you try. Still, I think we get quite close around here every once in a while.
You have taken much less time adjusting to this place than when first you joined us. Part of my surprise. I myself was forced to be here. I never thought anyone would come from the surface here by choice.
The heart can make us do the strangest things, can't it?
Indeed.
You're such a good boy, aren't you, Cerberus? Yes, you are. Guarded the place while I was out, and even let my son come visit me.
The ever-vigilant and terrifying Cerberus merely accepts the praise.
Should check the garden.
Well done, Zagreus. Oh, this is wonderful, except I'm racked with guilt for having nothing much to give you in return. You never even got a mother's love from me.
Please don't say that. It's just a gift, all right? Besides, can't we start now? Mother and son type things, if you would like.
I'd like that even more than this fine nectar, Zagreus.
So, Mother, all the pomegranates around here, those are your doing?
Not a lot of fruit trees take to this environment, my son. Though there's something about pomegranates. Maybe it's that their seeds so resemble the gemstones your father liked so much. Or that they don't need much water.
Fruit trees, huh? I grew up around all these palms and never thought much of it. Are there many other types of fruit trees on the surface, then?
Well, I suppose there are a few. But I like pomegranates most of all.
I like them too. Should check the garden.
Well done, Zagreus. Somebody raised you very well indeed, my son. Nyx, I suppose. I'll never be half the mother she is. She's done it for eons. While I'm only getting started.
For what it's worth, I happen to think you're off to an excellent start. Nyx did teach me a lot. Achilles too, and father in a way. But there is no replacing your presence. I felt that before we ever met, and now I know for sure.
Thank you, Zagreus. Let's hope you're right. I nurtured very many plants, at least. Of that I can assure you. Perhaps my gardening experience provided a bit of a head start on this whole mothering thing.
Perhaps I'm part plant. This garden isn't quite the sight yours was back on the surface, is it, Mother?
On the contrary, Zagreus. It has its own unique charm, as each garden does. I was impressed it wasn't left entirely to rot after my absence.
It was totally off limits to me, though I guess Father must have taken care to maintain it as best he could.
He did, all right. Minus the part where you weren't allowed. Though, let's look after it from here, shall we?
Sounds good.
I just got back shortly before you did.
I always fancied Thanatos, you know. So put together and everything. I'm pleased to see you've grown so close. Things good between you two?
They are. Thank you, Mother.
All right. We've matters with Olympus to resolve. They don't know I'm here, most of them, besides Zeus, maybe Athena. They think you're Nyx's son rather than mine, and that your goal is still to join them on their mountaintop.
What a mess. What can we do? The gods of Olympus have all been very good to me for the most part. I don't feel great about deceiving them. They keep trying to help me escape.
What can we do? We can make peace with them, and let them know the truth. So much of it as they would tolerate. Diplomacy is not your father's strong suit, but I'm going to need you two to do exactly as I say. Do you understand?
Yes, Mother. So what do you intend to do, and how do I fit in?
We're going to invite all of them to a little family gathering. Here. And you shall personally deliver them their invitation, Zagreus.
Mother, are you serious? So we're just going to have a bash with them, and they'll just see you after all this time and be fine with everything?
They certainly shall not be fine with everything. But Hades and I will be prepared to tell them what they need to hear. Don't worry. I shall do the talking.
What are you going to say?
Oh, you know. That we met, fell in love, eloped, had a child. A child who, once grown, sought desperately to reconnect with his extended family. To the chagrin of his grim lord father.
That's all true. As individual statements, at least.
Fortunately, our loving and dutiful son at last persuaded his mother and father to reveal their secretive relationship, and make an effort to rejoin their great family.
Your mother won't be happy that you left.
I'll deal with her. Perhaps I'll have to visit her and the rest of them from time to time, if that's what it shall take. But I'll be back. I have no choice. Did you know that if you eat the seeds of an underworld pomegranate, then you cannot leave for 1 month out of the year per seed?
What? No, I never knew that.
Neither do they.
How soon is this family gathering you have in mind going to take place?
Soon after you invite them all, I hope. Now go. And trust in me, all right? We have a lot to learn of trust, I think.
I know what you mean. I'll let you know when it's done.
How goes the doling out of invitations, Zagreus? Have the Olympians been amenable to the idea?
Not just amenable, Mother. Positively intrigued. I can't believe you scrambled the invitations in such a way that only with a lot of them combined will they get all of the details.
A bit of collaboration seemed in the spirit of things. We're a great big family, Zagreus. Past time we started acting like one, no? Now keep it up. And thank you for your help.
You got it, Mother. Mother, this family gathering you're planning, are all of our relatives welcome? Because I was wondering if I could extend the invitation to a distant ancestor. You know, Chaos.
Nyx's parent? You've been in contact then? Look, if you feel it's the right thing to do, I trust your judgment. The spirit of this event is to bring the family together.
Thanks. I doubt Chaos would be able to attend, though would still appreciate the thought.
Zagreus, how am I doing as a mother? Tell me honestly. Nyx has had so much to share about raising you. Foods you hated or enjoyed, your natural abilities, your friendships. She knows everything. Sometimes I wonder how I can ever compete.
Mother, I think you're doing great. And I'm sure you know it's not a competition between you and Nyx. I just get the benefit of having two great mothers rather than one. Or zero.
Thank you, my son. I know I wasn't there for most of the hard part, but I'm here now. Though when I inevitably, inadvertently trample all over your feelings at some point, please tell me, all right?
It's a deal. Mother, I know there may not be many things you miss from living on Olympus, though I wondered if perhaps ambrosia may be one of them. And got you some, because, well, here.
Why, this really is ambrosia. How did you even acquire this, Zagreus? It brings back memories for certain, and never the bad ones, which I think it must be why we prize this stuff so much. This is for me.
It is, of course. And it's my dearest hope that at some point long from now, when you're relaxing with a bottle of ambrosia, dare I say perhaps with Father, that these memories will be among the ones that spring to mind.
Oh, my son. I shall certainly not need ambrosia to think back upon getting to know you with the greatest fondness. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Mother. Here, Mother. More bottled pleasant memories for you. I know you're glad you've long since left Olympus, but I'm glad you were there because the experience of it must have played no small part in making you who you are.
You know, the last bottle you gave me brought more pleasant memories than I expected. No telling just how many more of them I've tucked away. Say, would it be all right if I share this with your father?
It is yours to do with as you please.
Almost sounded like a no to me.
No, I mean, yes, please share it with Father if he would be willing. I imagine what few pleasant memories he has are all of you.
Nonsense. There's also Cerberus. Present company excluded. Come on, son. Your father has a lot of work to do, but I'm absolutely certain that he has fond memories of you. Though I know that isn't reassuring coming from me.
Everything is somehow reassuring coming from you, Mother. Mother, one thing I was wondering about was, how did you summon Charon to your surface residence, especially without, you know, being dead?
Oh, why, he gave me his calling card after he graciously helped get me out of here the first time. No doubt at Nyx's request, but still. Never thought I'd use it, but I still kept it, just in case.
No idea what a calling card is, but okay. I thought about it more, Mother, and I would like very much if you and Father were to share this. Though, maybe don't let on where you got it, just in case.
This is splendid, Zagreus, but please, if there's one thing I've learned since we met, is that the trust we share is at the very foundation of our relationships. Why shouldn't he know who this is from? Besides, I think he could figure it out.
Well, when it came to the Olympians, you said yourself that there was only so much truth that they could tolerate. Are you sure Father would be tolerant knowing I got this for the both of you?
I'm sure enough. And if he isn't, I suppose it's more for me.
Well, just as long as someone puts it to good use.
You know I always wanted to be a mother, Zagreus. But after you were born, I was certain I had lost my chance. Then one fine morning you just walked into my life. And here we are. I still cannot entirely believe it. What I mean is, I love you, son. I'm doing my best.
I know. I love you too, Mother.
Tell me something, Zagreus. Sometimes I fear... Do you hate him? I mean your father. Regardless of his intentions. It sounds as though he made your life extraordinarily difficult. All his pent-up fear and anger. You bore the brunt of it.
Do I hate him? Mother, I don't know that I hate anybody, really. The tales of him and the Olympians rending their immortal Titan parents to bits. I can't relate to how they must have felt. But I resented him for sure. And I don't know if I'll ever get over that entirely.
I understand. I think that when Hades told you he asked no forgiveness, he understood as well and meant it. Well, for all his failings, I'm thankful that he did not teach you how to hate. For your own sake, if not for his.
Sometimes I think he tried.
I just don't know how I can ever repay you. For raising him. For everything. After I left, besides old Cerberus, I think maybe I missed you most of all.
I can remember feeling similar emotions at the time. However, it is quite unnecessary to give thanks to me this way. You are the queen, safely returned where you belong. I did what anybody would have in my place.
Anybody would have lovingly raised my estranged son while keeping safe my secret, eventually orchestrating an elaborate plot to reunite him with me, so that I might someday return to have a nectar with them in the lounge.
Precisely, yes.
Go on, Hades. Try saying something nice to him for once.
You are a hard worker.
Turns out there's still an awful lot to do around here, isn't there, Zagreus? I'm still getting caught up on day-to-day affairs.
Day-to-day? How can you even tell it's day around here anyway, Mother?
Well, that was just a guess now that you mention it. In any case, forgive me if I don't get swooped up in every household detail, all right?
Never. Kidding, of course.
Nyx told me that you helped her reconnect with her parent after a long, long time. That was very kind of you. She never asks for anything. But we all owe her a lot, don't we?
I think so. If not for her, I can't even imagine, really. Did Nyx ever speak to you of Chaos before I was born?
Not really, no. Nyx is very private when it comes to personal matters. But she has feelings and desires, same as anybody. Well, mostly. But the point is, I know this meant a lot to her.
Least I could do.
So how has it been between you and your father lately, Zagreus? I know the two of you have lots of work ahead of you. Especially him.
Well, it's been all right, I guess. I think he's set in some of his ways. But at least we have some sort of understanding now, even if he acts like everything is still the same when I'm out there on the job.
He says it's so you put forth your fullest effort every time. All this is a big adjustment for him as well. Not that it's any excuse for how he's treated you. Are you all right seeing us together?
Yes, I'm glad for you. Mother, you'll forgive my asking, but your mother used to call you by a different name, didn't she?
Ugh, don't remind me. Imagine if I called you Zaggy Poo from when you were born to this very moment. That's how that name felt to me. I much preferred the name my father gave to me.
Your mortal father, right? So he called you Persephone. What was he like?
He was kind to me, and funny. Little bringer of destruction I was to him. I liked that. He was right, I was a terror. But then he passed. I was very little still. My mother never spoke of him again.
Demeter mentioned him a bit to me. She seems... I don't know, but I don't sense that she regrets the relationship or anything. Just sad about the outcome, I think.
I suppose I can see that. I thought I might end up like father. Growing old, wasting away. Then the time flew by, and I realized I was closer to Mother's side. Mortals certainly don't have it easy. But their limited days, it means they live their lives to the fullest, I think.
At least we've some of that in us.
Indeed. That Dusa sure has quite the uplifting presence around here, doesn't she, Zagreus? Sometimes I see you chatting and it warms my heart.
She does. She's great, Mother. It's done, Mother. Father, the invitations. Personally sent to everyone with whom I've been in contact. So what do we do now?
Excellent, Zagreus. Congratulate him, Hades. On a job well done.
Persephone, how can you be so certain your request was executed to your satisfaction?
It's known as trust, Hades. Or faith. They're similar. Try one sometime. It'll be good for you. As for what we do next, why, we've a great big feast we must prepare.
This house is not a suitable location for such guests. Dionysus alone shall bring ruin to this place. Or... the faith thing that you said.
Yes, good. Now then, we have a lot of work to go around. So why don't we call everyone on staff and let them in on this, and dole out suitable responsibilities, all right?
All right.
All right.
All right.
Thus did all of Olympus journey deep into the underworld, all together for the very first time. The Queen Persephone revealed herself in all her splendor, much to their surprise, and told them everything she indicated to her son. She eloped with Grim Lord Hades, she said, mothering a fire-stepping prince who sought to reconnect with his extended family. Hades and Persephone at first refused his wish, but so moved were they by his relentless struggles to the surface that at last they decided to heed their willful Zagreus and reach out, for his and everybody's sake. The Olympians listened to all this in stunned silence. Then Zeus himself began to laugh. "Welcome back into the family," he said. After the shock subsided, the festivities began.
I say, big brother, you and your better half put on a positively smashing night. It's a relief for all of us, knowing Persephone is safe and sound. And mother to as noble of a son as my good nephew there. Well, little brother, the Queen and I, in turn, appreciate you all taking time out of your doubtless busy lives to come all this distance to my house. I'm certain it is very modest in comparison to Mount Olympus, but I trust that you were suitably entertained. Oh, of course, Hades. Now then, farewell, and let us keep in better touch from here. Farewell indeed, Lord Zeus.
When finally the great feast ended, all the Olympians returned to their mountain abode, fully satisfied. As for the house of Hades, it required thorough cleansing, from the rafters to the floor. Such revelry, of course, is unbecoming of the name of Hades and the fearsome reputation of the underworld. For if mortals were to have no fear of death, then they would have no fear of anything at all. A well-kept family secret, then, this would live on to be.
Whew. I'd say that went about as well as could have been expected. And the cleanup wasn't all that bad. For the most part.
Well, fortunate Uncle Zeus seemed to catch on right away and went along with it. But this whole elaborate tale you spun... I remember how hurt I felt when I found out Father lied to me about you. Now we're lying to Olympus. What if they find out? Even if they don't, I don't like it.
Zagreus, I may not be an expert, but here's what I've come to understand about how families work. At least our own. The thing is, how we speak to one another is even more important than the words we use. I think, deep down, everyone in our family knows this.
You're saying they all knew you weren't being perfectly honest and went along with it anyway. I guess the pomegranate thing in particular was a bit of a stretch.
The common ground in our family is that we want peace. Besides Ares, though even he would rather the conflict occur elsewhere. That elaborate tale, it's less a deception and more a concession. A way of saying, let's move on from the past and start anew. No hard feelings.
You don't have hard feelings? What about Father? What about Demeter?
Well, let's see. My hard feelings are nothing next to the joy of having my son in my life. Your father never imagined his relationship with me could be out in the open. And my mother, she's just glad I'm alive.
And Uncle Zeus is glad things didn't turn out worse for him. I get the sense he acts a bit impulsively at times and deals with the consequences later.
What can I tell you, Zagreus? We're family. You said it yourself to me before. We're stuck with one another. That any of us like each other in the slightest. It's a wonder and a blessing, I think.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Thanks, Mother. Think I'll be heading out again soon. See you when I get back.
Sounds good. I'll see you then.
I have to say, Mother, that was a clever plan. Convincing Father to finally let somebody have some fun around here.
Well, I'm glad it worked out for the best. There's just one thing that happened that I ought to tell you about, son. No secrets between us and all. This is quite difficult for me to say.
It's about Demeter, isn't it? You two were talking half the night. She wants you to come home with her, doesn't she? You'll always be her little one, something like that.
Indeed. Something like that. You're quite perceptive, have I ever told you, Zagreus? But yes, my mother, she was quite conflicted. Didn't know whether to smite me or to hold me. Maybe both. And yes, she asked that I come home. To my responsibilities.
So, you're leaving? No, Mother, you can't be leaving. You just got here.
Oh, it's not as bad as that. It's just... if we are to keep the peace down here, then I must spend some time up there. Every so often. But I shall always return in no time at all. I promised Hades, and I promise you.
Well then, when are you going to go?
Soon, Zagreus. Perhaps by the time you're back.
I don't suppose I can come with you, can I?
You know the surface isn't good for you. Besides, you're needed here. But if you really want to see it for yourself someday, who knows? Perhaps eventually we'll figure out a way.
I'm going to miss you, Mother.
I'm going to miss you too, son.
Welcome home, Mother. How was your trip? Things go all right with you and Demeter? With Grandmother? Still getting used to thinking of her that way.
You know, it's funny. I think she was so overwhelmed to see me again that maybe something finally changed in her. I always thought she was utterly unyielding. She asked me if I truly came here by choice, and I put her at ease.
Oh, that's a relief. Grandmother can be rather intense, but she's been kind to me and very helpful too. Do you suppose she'll ease up on the whole eternal winter thing there on the surface now that she knows you're safe?
I asked. She told me that she would. Warmth shall return to the surface. Some of the time, at least. Likely on a rigid schedule, knowing her. And perhaps not in the vicinity of our domain. She's not the sort to forgive and simply forget.
At least she forgave.
Nyx was just telling me some more about your early days, my son.
I thank you for your blessings, Queen Persephone. Your son and I, we always were quite close, but through all this ordeal, we've become rather inseparable, I think.
Well, I can see he has better taste than I do, Thanatos. I have a sense of how industrious you are. You just take care of yourself, please. And take care of each other too, all right?
As you will, Queen. I mean, all right.
All right. So Orpheus was finally able to reunite with Eurydice because of you, my son. Ah, I'm so glad. Your father's arrangement with him was quite severe. Though he did ask for a lot for a mortal soul to return to the land of the living.
Is it even possible for Father to return a mortal back to life if he so chose? Just by letting their shade escape or something?
Oh, I've no idea. Probably not. But we were so moved by Orpheus's plea and song that, well, I think your father took pity on him.
Wait, we were so moved? You were there when Orpheus came to try and rescue Eurydice.
I was. Your father knew I loved their music. Imagine my surprise to see him as our court musician here.
I'd no idea.
I'm due to visit Mount Olympus once again. So please be good to one another while I'm out.
Take care, Mother. So, things with you and Father, everything all right so far?
Things are good, Zagreus. I'm from Olympus. All the relationships I've ever known have been the complicated sort. But with your father, despite our different dispositions and interests, beneath it all we share a simple understanding.
And what understanding is that, if you can share?
That we're all we've got. And that we love each other, through thick and thin.
Wait, you're not thinking about having more children, are you?
No, you're plenty. Nyx here is a wellspring of parental advice, as it turns out. It seems Achilles had a complicated arrangement with your father. I understand you simplified things for the better there, and he was able to visit Elysium at last. Well done.
Thank you. He more than deserved it.
Do let me know if I can help with anything, all right?
Bye, Mother.
Your father's prouder of you than you think. Don't let your father get to you too much, all right?